Bless the Lord, O my soul, bless it.
Hi, thanks for tuning in to Armor of God. As always, thank you so much for taking the time to be here with us. And hopefully, you'll always be edified with what we've put together for you here. And here we are again, or I should probably say, here I go again going to share something about aliens, the extraterrestrial life. Now I'm going to admit that I'm very curious about these things, which is one of the reasons why I requested Dr. James of the Divine Will Channel to ask Father Joseph Iannuzzi the questions about aliens. Now you'll probably be thinking that we're only talking about the possibility of life on other planets as a recent thing, but the fact of the matter is the Church has been talking about it for a long time. And that's what I'd like to share with you through this video.
God does not limit his power to human thought. In other words, God's power is limitless. And this is reflected actually in the angel Gabriel's salutation to Mary when he told her that nothing is impossible with God. And this position of these scholastic thinkers and even neo-scholastic thinkers was kind of confirmed by the 13th century Bishop Etienne Tempier, who issued a condemnation against those who maintained that God could only create one world. This is known as the famous 1277 condemnation, in which Bishop Etienne Tempier stated, and I'm going to quote you from this Article 34 of his condemnation of 1277, that it is an excommunicable offense to hold, in quotes, that the first cause, that is God, the first mover, which is God, could not make several worlds, unquote. Now, this is huge because this ecclesiastical statement from a bishop of Paris opened up the ecclesial doors to the theological acceptance of the reality of other worlds throughout the cosmos, and therefore the possibility of them even being inhabited. So this is the beginning of the Catholic Church's admission of the possibility of other worlds and other life that may occupy them. Now, after Bishop Etienne in the 14th century, still rolling into the 15th century, came William Vaudrillon. And he was a French philosopher and theologian, and he was the first, this is important too, the first theologian to have raised the question of whether the plurality of worlds or universes or cosmoi may be reconciled with the incarnation and the redemption of Jesus Christ.
Forgive me for the interruption, but I'd like to add extra information here in regards to the people Father Iannuzzi is referring to in the video. William Vaudrillon was a French philosopher and theologian. He wrote a biography of Duns Scotus, and from 1457 onwards, he was a regent master, becoming licentiate and master of theology in 1458.
And he replied in the affirmative. I'm going to quote to you from one of his works in which he states, in quotes, "If it be inquired whether a whole world is able to be made more perfect than this universe, I answer that not one world alone, but that infinite worlds more perfect than this one lie hid in the mind of God. If it be inquired whether individuals exist on that world, and whether they have sinned as Adam sinned, I answer no, for they would not exist in sin and did not spring from Adam." Now this is interesting because almost exactly 500 years later to this statement of William Vaudrillon, Saint Padre Pio Pietrelcina, a Franciscan friar, stated, in quotes, in response to a friar asking him if other rational beings exist on other planets, stated, "On other planets, other beings exist who did not sin and fall as we did." See the correlation between William Vaudrillon and Padre Pio? So Padre Pio's statement did not come out of nowhere. It was grounded in this history of Greek scholastic, philosophical, theological debate on the plurality of other worlds and the possibility of rational and irrational beings existing therein. William Vaudrillon states, "As to the question whether Christ, by dying on this earth, could redeem the inhabitants of another world, I answer that he is able to do so, even if the other worlds were infinite, but it would not be fitting for Christ to go to another world in order to die again." And this is the mainstream theological Catholic position in speculative theology. Christ incarnated himself only once for all eternity and redeemed mankind and the universe only once for all eternity. He didn't just redeem the world, he redeemed the cosmos. Paul even states this when he says that he is the firstborn of all creatures and that Christ's one incarnation, he reconciled, that's what he says, all things in heaven and on earth. Why in heaven? Why would he have to reconcile things in heaven? So you start to see the bigger picture here. Then after William Borilong comes Nicholas of Cusa. He was a German Catholic cardinal, a philosopher and a theologian from the 15th century. And he stated in chapter 12, I'm going to quote it to you, of his most famous work, De Docta Ignorantia, which is on or of learned ignorance. He states as follows: life, as it exists on earth in the form of men, animals, and plants, is to be found, let us suppose, in higher forms, in solar and stellar regions. Rather than think that so many stars and parts of the heavens are uninhabited, we will suppose, we meaning the cardinal representing the church, that in every region there are inhabitants, differing in nature by rank, all owing their origin to God. Even if inhabitants of another kind should exist in other stars, it seems inconceivable that anything more noble and perfect could be found than the intellectual nature that exists here on earth. Let me repeat this. This is important because this cardinal, Nicholas of Cusa, is stating that even though there are higher forms in other regions of the universe, we, the lowest form of rational life, are the most noble.
Nicholas of Cusa was a German Catholic cardinal, philosopher, theologian, jurist, mathematician, and astronomer. One of the first German proponents of Renaissance humanism, he made spiritual and political contributions in European history. Why Nicholas de Cusa, the Cardinal of Germany, stated that we are more noble than other beings who are more spiritual than us? Well, because we can multiply by the power of God his acts which not even the angels can do, and God multiplies these acts on our behalf throughout all the cosmos for all creatures. And Nicholas of Cusa was probably the first individual who actually came up with the ideas. Because the earth is habitable and the earth is a heavenly body, other heavenly bodies are probably inhabitable too, and if they are habitable, they are probably inhabited. Well, that is all for the video this time. It's a rather short one compared to what I usually release, but since it's released for the weekend, I hope that you've learned something from this as well. And I know that there will be those who disagree with what Father Iannuzzi is saying here. However, please, even if you disagree, write your comments without being toxic. For me personally, it's truly been a humbling journey so far. I thought I know a lot about our faith, but when I started to listen to these exorcists like Father Ripperger or Father Martins, and even a theologian and exorcist like Father Iannuzzi, I've learned quickly enough that there's so much I didn't know, and it's okay. I love learning every day about our Christian faith, and it truly has been a great journey so far. Anyway, thank you so much for taking the time to be here with us. And for those of you who'd like to support our works, I left a link to our PayPal donation in the description box below, and from the bottom of my heart, thank you so much for your continuous support, contribution, and prayer. And until the next one, stay safe, stay healthy, and may God bless you.